What's up, brother?
I don't think that's how you say what's up in Spanish, but I'm doing well. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for this Fortitude in 15. I think you picked a really good topic for us to talk about today, and you tweeted about it as well. So I'm looking forward to discussing it with you. Anytime something comes onto your Twitter, Parker, it's most certainly insightful. So
You
let's
think?
discuss. I
You
do.
really think?
Why don't you share it with us, man? Share it with the
It's
nation.
funny. I haven't been living up to my one tweet a day motto that I've been living by, but I feel as if I tweet, people want to like it. In this case, no one liked my tweet, which is quite disheartening. But that's why I have a podcast, so I can talk about it and back it up. So my tweet is the following. It was a thread. It was three tweets because Twitter has like the maximum limit, 160 characters. So I said, periods of silence during a meeting actually make the meeting much more productive. People are afraid of silence because it feels like a waste of time. They try to talk to fill those awkward moments. And most of the time, it's all fluff, providing little to the conversation. However, I believe that silence gives people the time to actually think and decide on what it is they want to say, making the meeting that much more effective. Don't underestimate silence. So I figured when we were talking before this, Fortitude 15, what we were going to talk about today, we can talk about the idea of silence and how actually special silence is. And, we can talk about it in terms of work, but I think the topic of today is just thinking through, we try to always counter silence with fluff or talk or social media or internet or entertainment because silence is awkward. We don't, as people, really know what to do with it.
It's a wonderful topic, and I'm excited to get into it with you because more and more people are living in cities. More and more people are living near other people with technology around them at all times. And I think we're in a really unprecedented era where silence now is not even natural. It's artificially made. So
What, headphones? Just like put it on headphones?
yeah, man. Noise canceling headphones. We're trying to get white noise machines while we sleep. We want a meditation app that coaches us through shutting out all the noise, right? Like even silence has to be created right now, artificially. And I think that's tough as more and more people are living in cities and places where they can't, I don't know, take a hike in nature or go be in a library that's dead quiet by themselves. We're missing that type of reflection. And I think it's, subconsciously on purpose, right? Thinking and being alone with your own thoughts and having to be introspective, or not even introspective, but just deal with the shit that's going on in your head. That's not easy for a lot of people, myself included. So we procrastinate. We fill the void. We stimulate our minds in other ways. Like I can't even eat lunch just looking out my window. I throw something on the computer and I watch like an episode of Netflix while I eat my sandwich, right? Like I don't even take that time to just sit and not have to stare at a screen, which I do all day. So it's almost been
Stimulation all the
embedded.
time.
Yeah, we're fully stimulated. And if it's not enough to be stimulated with one thing at a time, humans, for some reason, love to multitask and not only have one screen up or one conversation going, but be doing two other things in the background. Being silent and being still seems to be really difficult for our generation. And I wonder, Parker, I'm not a scientist, so we're going to have to get someone on to talk about this. I wonder if, of course, technology is having an impact, but I wonder if, conditions like ADD or ADHD or things of that nature were as big in like the 50s. Maybe undiagnosed because people didn't really know how to dish it out. But like, I wonder if our grandparents' generation, a lot of them, like in the same amount of numbers that we're seeing it now, had those conditions as well. I don't know. I guess I'm just curious.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I've feel like I've read parts of like the internet. You can read whatever you want on the internet, right? It's like you go to Reddit and you can literally read whatever.
Parker has read parts of the internet, everyone.
Dude, I've read parts of the internet that I don't want to share on this podcast. I'll tell you that.
Whoa.
Well, there's just crazy, like, dude, Reddit alone, it's a crazy place. Like,
dude,
anything
McPartland's been teaching me all about Reddit. I have no idea how big Reddit was, but
I ask many questions to Reddit, and I get many of my answers from Reddit. When I buy something, you know, I spend a lot of money on it, Reddit. When I want to learn about something, new food, Reddit. New place, Reddit. Advice from my girlfriend, Reddit. Everything, Reddit. There's a lot there. But I feel like sugar intake in our body over the last 30 years, you know, our diet has contributed to what you're talking about. But I ain't no scientist. I ain't no nutritionist. I just feel like that may be a little bit correlated. I think the reason I tweeted this earlier today, I was sitting in a meeting and it was a 30-minute meeting, and I literally didn't think there was 20 seconds of just pure silence where you would think really, really smart people get together, they talk, they brainstorm, they problem solve. But where was the time to actually critically think? Take a step back and think about what was just said. We're always so reactive to what someone else says, and then we feel as if we have to then go talk right away. Because like I said, silence is awkward, and it feels like we're being less productive. But then I think back to my time in AP Literature in high school, and my teacher would sit there. He'd ask a really deep question. Everyone in the class would have no idea what to say. And he would say simply, "I'll wait. Silence is fine." And there were moments where we would literally sit in class, bro, I'm not kidding you, for like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, with nothing said. And I think back to that, and I'm like, in that moment, I'm like, God, this guy, man, what is he doing? Like, isn't a teacher supposed to, like, project the conversation? But in reality, I look back at him now, I'm like, he's brilliant. The fact, like, everyone's thinking, and if there's nothing to be said, then nothing has to be said. Let people think. And if they have to say something, then we'll go with that.
I want to bring it back.
We're in an age where we have 30-minute meetings. We have to fill the 30 minutes. The full 30 minutes with talk, fluff, because it's a full 30-minute meeting. And then when the meeting's at 30 minutes, okay, everyone have a good day. It's just an interesting thing I've noticed, you know?
It's actually so funny because, like, it's a great point about the working world. When we're working on something and there's a problem, right? In a natural situation, you sit in the room and you talk about it and you brainstorm until you solve the problem. Now in this, like, work from home corporate environment, it's like, no, we're not going to stay on until we solve the problem.
Yeah.
We're going to stay on because Sally Joe decided this meeting was 30 minutes long instead of 3 hours like it should be, right? It's like, it's so funny how we handle those things. I want to bring it back to work in a different way, though, Parker, with something that I've noticed with the people that I look up to the most in the work environment, those partners, those bosses who, when they speak, you listen. And I think there's a reason for that. And I've noticed this. I don't know if you've seen this in some of your leaders as well. So when some of our head honcho, really high up guys and gals come on a call, and someone, you know, the people will be talking, filling that silence, like you said, nonstop. And then someone will say, well, hey, boss, what do you think? And instead of jumping right in, I love it because most of these bosses just stop and sit for 5-10 seconds and then go. And it's like that pause of them just trying to articulate in a clear, concise manner what they're trying to say, because there's so much weight and levity in, like, the words that are about to come out of their mouth, brings so much more impact. So silence does not have to be 5 minutes like your example with your teacher. Silence can sometimes be an emphasis that you've taken the time to listen and digest, because so often we will hear a statement, the first half of a statement, and decide already what we're going to say to counter that. And we don't even listen to the second half of that statement. As soon as that person finishes, you jump and you say exactly what you wanted to say because you want to fill the void. You want to seem smart. What if you just let them complete their thought, digested that thought, compared that to what you think you were going to say, tweaked it, and then articulated your thoughts? There's a lot of power that comes with being patient, listening, having the silence, and then making a statement. It makes you sound like a boss, bro. It makes you sound like you know what the heck you're talking about. If you're articulate enough to just take a second and then speak, people will listen.
Yeah. This is such an interesting thing, and it's such an unconscious way that I think people go about the day. We're reactive. We're so reactive in everything we do. And taking that time to think, come up with an articulate thought, and then speak back is almost like not the norm, I feel like. I mean, yeah, people are really good at thinking on their feet, critically thinking, fast paced, back and forth, you know? Like, you think about that in business, it's like, whatever. But I totally agree with you. There's something about taking a moment, holding that suspense, as I'm doing right now, slowing down, and getting across a very direct point and minimizing the fluff that goes into a conversation, because there's a whole lot of that happens. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that if we're talking about being efficient and having good conversation, maybe we can be a little bit more self-aware of the fluff we put into conversations and the silence we leave out.
Ooh, well said.
Jesus Christ. I was like, bro.
Dang, son.
I was like, dang.
Tweet that shit, man.
I'm done. Everyone, Elevation Nation, I'm retiring.
I love it. Well, Parker, I know that was a pretty powerful perspective, but do you have a quote you'd like to share with the people?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Ooh, I like this one. Ooh, I don't know. There's so many quotes on this. Like, oh, Jesus. This is said by Euripides. Euripides?
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I don't. Do you?
It's like a philosopher or something.
It sure sounds like it.
Must be cool dude. Knows his stuff. Or it could be a woman. Knows her stuff. But here she said, silence is true wisdom's best reply.
If only that was the truth in today's day and age.
Could you imagine just like the way I think about that is like you're in an interview. Someone asks you a question. And you take 3 minutes to think about how you're going to respond. And you give such an eloquent response. Does that person, like, why did he take 3 minutes to formulate that thought? Or do they say, wow, that's different. You really thought about that.
You're right. I don't know,
I don't
man.
know.
In today's day and age, I don't think you have that much time, which is sad.
You don't have the time because the interview's 30 minutes. That person who's interviewing has to go to his next meeting. It feels like you're wasting that person's time.
It's a hard dilemma. I think there's a delicate balance. But I do think that no matter what, everyone wants to feel like they were genuinely heard.
True.
And I do think silence and listening does assist with that. You know?
Yeah. So I think for Elevation Nation, to end this Fortitude in 15, is have the mental fortitude to not react, take some time, allow silence to make the most noise in the room, and then break the room away with your elegant thoughts about life or whatever it is, the way you're trying to solve the world, or maybe you're just trying to talk to your girlfriend and I don't know, get the Netflix channel changed. I don't know. Silence is good. It's powerful. Sam, with that, we'll leave it.
Till next week, Elevation Nation. Peace.